Women's Business Center presents The Edge Roundtable Discussion, brought to you by Indigo PR and Atlas Electrical and Air Conditioning.
Do you feel it's important for business women to be involved in their local government, in their state? Especially down here, I know that we see very often where they're like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it doesn't really, in my opinion, it doesn't matter anyway.
I think it's vital. First of all, it's your business, and there's a lot that goes on in Washington that affects your business. Well, not just in Washington, but also in Austin. So I stay in touch with both.
How do you get involved? Like, how did you start? How did you get there?
I joined associations that were involved in my industry so that I could stay in touch with the new things that were going on out there. I think belonging to an association and learning from people that have been in the business for years and years. I know young people don't like to do that, but I think it's the only way to learn from the masters out there what went right and what went wrong, because they'll tell you both ways. This is a good idea, this isn't a good idea. Because I did that when I was there with young guys coming up. You know, you're better off not doing that, because that really is going to cost you time and money. So I think giving back to your community and a way to do that is to stay in touch with what goes on. I testified in Washington on an issue that was really dear to my heart on a Senate subcommittee on lawsuit abuse. It was hurting the valley, it was hurting construction, it was hurting the overall economy here because everybody was being sued. And I think that helped. I think truly doing things like that brings things to mind that says, you know, I got to get involved in this. This is my bottom line here. So, yeah, I think it's vital.
And do you think it makes a difference?
I have truly seen where 2 votes make whether you're going to win an argument or you're going to lose an argument. I have called the Senate floor in Austin and got a hold of one senator and made him change his vote on something that he wasn't that up to speed on, because a lot of times they aren't. So, and he changed his vote, we won that argument, and it was a big one for the construction industry. So yeah, I think one person can make a tremendous difference.
You know, sometimes at the Women Business Center, of course, the services that we provide is to help those individuals who want to start or expand a business. But often I see there is a big disconnect. They don't see themselves in the general environment of business environment, how they can be connected to business with policy. You know, but I think it's so crucial because policy is what makes change.
I agree with you. And you know, most associations have a connection. They do walk the hill when they have issues out there, or even when they don't walk issues. Get to know your local politicians. Get to know those guys in Washington as much as you can. I love the fact that every now and then I can pick up the phone and make a difference. It took me a lot of years and a lot of involvement. But if you don't do that, you're never going to get those little edges in. And of course, as you move on in life, you give a little money here and a little money here, and money still talks.
Of course it does. I mean, it's a hard job to do what they do, and it is just the way, it's just the way things are.
It is.
I mean, and you have to be successful, you have to understand that. You have to get involved, because you're not going to change things from the outside. You're going to change things from the inside.
And there is a big disconnect. When politicians have been there a long time, there is a big disconnect between what they know about certain subjects and what they don't. And don't ever discount aides. I know a lot of aides, and they're the ones ultimately that tell that politician exactly what's going on. So if you make them familiar and you've got a first name basis with them, you can still do a lot of damage.
Wow, I feel so educated.
You know, and their things are like little. You would think it's common sense, but it truly isn't, because there's that, like you said, that just huge disconnect. I think it's untouchable or just too far away,
and too difficult.
Too difficult.
Like I know nothing about politics, so it's really hard to say I'm going to get involved, because you don't want to necessarily get involved in the political ties or the problems. You just want to make policy changes. So how would you advise somebody like that? You know, they don't.
Stay abreast of the issues out there that are important to you. And then there's always fundraisers. I mean, we do a lot of them here. That's the time to just get on a social event with what's going on. Go to these little parties, whether you can only give $25 or whatever it is. They always appreciate it. And find out what the spin is in the room, because those people are all there for a reason. They either want a policy change the same way you do, and get involved with small groups that say, you know, I'm working on this, and we can do this in a small way without going to Washington or going to Austin. We can do it on a local level, and you can do that also.
That's fantastic. We have an ACA association. Well, you're familiar with ACA.
Yes.
And we've been talking about, yes, and we were talking about wanting to make some changes, some policy changes, and we were trying to set up a meeting to go to Austin, but it's so scary, I guess, because it's so novice to us, or we're so novice to that type of realm, that when they say, okay, we're going to do some changes, we're going to set up the state, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I don't have to go. You know, it's just scary. It's just scary.
You know what? You go on the theory when you go to Austin that every office you walk into to visit, first of all, they appreciate it. They really do appreciate it outside what's going on in your home. The only thing, you look at them and you say, you know what, that man or that woman puts her pants on or her dress on the very same way I do. She has the same worry. She's got to kid her kid to a nursery school every day before she goes to work. They truly are just people. And sometimes when you're visiting with them and you have issues that are very strong, they're more afraid of you than they are worried about what they're going to do for the day. Because they don't know how much damage you can do, and they don't know how many people you know. So always go in with a strong, positive look. This is what you're doing to my industry, or this is where we need some help, because they listen. It may not look like they're listening, but they listen. And a lot of them will tell you exactly how they feel at that time. I'm not going to go that way. I'm sorry, but you're not going to get my vote to do that. You walk out of that office and go, okay, how can I change his mind?
Or change that person
Yeah.
from that seat. I mean, you do. They work for us.
That's right.
And
That's
so,
what she tells me all
I
the
say it all the time.
Right.
You go in there going, remember, they work for us.
That's right.
They're
That's
there
absolutely right.
to understand our needs and do the best for us.
Right. They don't always have us in mind.
No, but we remind them.
There may be a big company out there, but you remind them how many of us small ones there are out there that can really do damage. So, yeah, always be positive. Be fearless when you go in and talk to them.
Love that.
I admire you so much strength you have.
Thank you, I
It's beautiful.
appreciate that. But that comes from years too. I mean, I like to think I was strong at the start. I think I was more stubborn than strong. But I think along the way you learn lessons, and you definitely learn people. You do learn a lot about people.
Maybe that's what makes you so much more successful as a woman, because we have more empathy.
Yes,
So you're able to direct that when you direct your business.
absolutely.